Well, a complex fraction is where you have fractions inside of a larger fractions. So it's like a fraction inside of a fraction. And of course it looks complex, right? It's complicated. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to eliminate that so you just have one fraction. Okay, so to do that, there's a couple different techniques. The technique I'm going to show you in this video is how to clear the denominators. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to factor all the denominators so you can see what they're made up of. So here I'm going to factor this, x plus 1 and x plus 3. So that gives you 1x and 3x, which is 4x. Okay, so I've factored that. So the common denominator out of x plus 1, x plus 3, and x plus 1, x plus 3 is x plus 1 times x plus 3. So that would be the common denominator. If you were to like add these fractions together, that would be the denominator that you would want. So let's go ahead and multiply the numerator and the denominator, okay, by that common denominator. Now I'm just putting this over 1 because anything divided by 1 is itself. And of course, anything divided by itself is 1, and multiplying this whole thing, which represents 1, times this complex fraction won't change the value of it. It's just going to change the way that it looks. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to think about distributing. I'm going to take this whole quantity here, I'm going to distribute it to this fraction, and I'm going to distribute it to this fraction, and over here I'm going to distribute that to this fraction. Okay, so when I take this whole quantity, I distribute it to this first fraction. Can you see how the x plus 1s are going to cancel one another out? 1's in the numerator, 1's in the denominator, they cancel, right? So you're just left with x plus 3 times 3. So let's write that down here. So 3 times x plus 3. There's no denominator because the denominator canceled out. When we take this times this fraction, you can see that x plus 3's are going to cancel. See denominator and numerator, and you're left with x plus 1 times 2x. So that's 2x times x plus 1, all divided by, now we're going to take this and distribute it to the denominator, and you can see that the x plus 1 and x plus 3 are going to cancel because these are in the denominator, these are in the numerator, and we're just going to be left with 5. So at this point, you can see that we only have one fraction here. Just see the one fraction bar. So we simplified it. We can do a little bit more work here by distributing, okay, combining like terms and simplifying. So let's do that. So we have 3x plus 9 minus 2x squared minus 2x. We're distributing the negative 2x, okay, into the parentheses. All divided by 5. And let's see, so we've got negative 2x squared minus 2x and plus 3x is plus 1x plus 9, all divided by 5. And that's our final result. Now I'll just mention to you, sometimes you can factor this further, the numerator and the denominator at this point, and you can see if there's something that cancels top and bottom. So you want to look for that. But again, the key here was to find the common denominator, multiply to the top and bottom to clear the denominators. Let's look at one more example. So this one here, you've got a denominator of x, x minus 1, and this one doesn't have a denominator, so let's just call it over 1. Okay. What's the common denominator here? Can you see it? It's going to be x times x minus 1. That would be the common denominator. So let's go ahead and multiply the numerator and the denominator by x minus 1. Here, if we distribute, the x's are going to cancel. So we're just going to be left with 5 times x minus 1. In the denominator, when we distribute, the x minus 1's are going to cancel. We're going to be left with x times 2, which is 2x. And if we distribute it to this quantity here, that nothing really cancels out, right? So you're just left with 3x times x minus 1. So all we're left with now at this point is just to do a little bit more simplifying, factor if possible, see if anything cancels out. So let's just get into a little bit of arithmetic here. We've got 5x minus 5 by distributing. Here we've got 3x squared distributed gives you 3x cubed. That's 3x squared minus 1, which would be 3x squared times negative 1 is negative 3x squared plus 2x. Now, we could look at factoring this a little bit further to see if anything's going to cancel numerator and denominator. I'll show you how to do that just so you can see. But it looks like this is our final result. Let me just double check here. So the numerator you could write as 5 times x minus 1. That's what we had here. I'm just factoring out the greatest common factor. And then over here, looks like we can factor out an x. So we're left with 3x squared minus 3x plus 2. And you could try to factor this further, but it's not factorable. Okay, so at that point, you're done. You could have it